Duke Ellington famously said, "There are simply two kinds of music, good music and the other kind." Today, I want to discuss what separates the good from the bad. This, of course, can be rather tricky when looking at something as subjective as art. There's also a difference between something I may consider bad and something I dislike. For example, I'm not a huge fan of Nirvana, and to some of you, that might be absolute blasphemy. But while I personally may not like the band, I by no means think they're bad. I have the utmost respect for Kurt Cobain and the music that he made. It just doesn't do anything for me. The same is true with some jazz guitar players. While I appreciate the talent, I just don't like the way it sounds. And wouldn't it be nice if we wrapped it up there? Easy, uncontroversial. But we're not going to, because there are some musical things that I straight up dislike and can find no redeeming qualities in. It's not necessarily a genre-specific thing, though in my experience, certain genres are more prone to my pet peeves. See, I believe that if you can't find something that you like in every musical style, you're doing yourself a disservice. Writing off an entire genre reflects a lack of musical maturity. But enough beating around the bush, let's talk about what I see as bad music. The biggest characteristic to me is when a musician's attempt at something falls especially short because of a lack of skill. An example would be if I were to go to a karaoke bar and try to sing Bohemian Rhapsody. It would be bad. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, basically the entire first round of auditions in American Idol. This situation often comes up when a musician is simply unqualified and hasn't put the time into their craft. But that's not always the case. You guys know that I deeply love Stevie Ray Vaughan and think of him as a true blues master. But if he were to play Giant Steps by John Coltrane, I don't think it'd be very good. His skill set does not lend itself to playing those intricate jazz chord changes. And stylistically, what he does would not serve the song. And to me, that's one of the deadly musical sins. Thou shalt not serve anything but the song. Actually, that might be a commandment. I've taken backlash for this before, but I'll say it again, I stand behind it. Ringo Starr is a great musician. He epitomizes the essence of musicality. Here's a guy playing in a band that was bigger than Jesus, and he's okay taking a backseat and playing nothing more than what the song called for. He never showed off, he never played a note that wasn't fitting. If a drummer had shredded some impressive fills over a song like In My Life, it would have made for bad music. Of course, there are genres and songs that call for that sort of thing. I find myself asking, when in doubt, what would Ringo do? Here's another thing that really bugs me. The bad ripoffs. And I should say that there's a big difference between being a poser and playing a character in a song. What gets to me is when someone tries to be something they aren't, or tries to sell something they don't believe in. When Bruce Springsteen sings The River, he's not selling that story as his own. It's a character. On the flip side, when I hear someone from Toronto singing about how hard life is in a small town down in the south with a southern drawl, I die a little bit on the inside. To me, cool is embracing whoever you are and whatever you like. The cheap ripoffs, more often than not, are just trying to capitalize on a trend. I can think of some especially bad offenders of this. I'm not going to mention specific names. Let's just say when mainstream country is bad, it's real bad. And if you guys aren't sick of the Larry David-esque rant that this video has become, I'm gonna mention one more thing that gets to me. Lazy songwriting. There's a bunch of specifics here. I'm not gonna get into all of them, though maybe one day I'll make a sensei series on that topic. You kinda just know it when you hear it, when it seems like a writer went with the first thing that came to their mind. There's minimal thought or cleverness behind it. For example, your love is like a drug. It's the only fire that I desire. Here's the good news though, there is an abundance of great music out there and it's never been as accessible as it is right now. We aren't stuck listening to what's on the radio. We live in a world of options and that's amazing. To wrap this up, leave me a comment, let me know what is your musical pet peeve. It's a worthwhile thing to think about as a musician because once you've identified what you don't like, you can make an effort to avoid it in your own art. Thank you all so much for watching and an especially big shout out to all my patrons. The support that you guys give me through Patreon makes it possible for me to create these videos and for that I'm forever grateful. I got new videos coming Mondays and Fridays as well as a live stream right here on YouTube on Wednesday. Make sure you stay tuned. I'm Samurai Guitarist and I will see you again soon.